Okay, so like Scott graciously said, I am Lord Milan Oiseau, the superhero coach. The Lord is not me just pumping myself up. My father comes from English nobility, and I got that title about 7 years ago when we found out together that there's a castle in our name and a bunch of cool stuff. So I started to use the Lord because it makes me a little bit more fancy, and it's cool. So as you can see, there's a few images here on this first slide, and the first being Virginian. That's where I was born and raised, military town. And our family has been in the Marine Corps in 3 different continents for 400 years. So I did not fulfill that tradition. My life went a different trajectory. And when we came to Michigan my senior year, so I graduated from local school, graduated from Lloyd Norks, and then made my way into Western to study the things that interested me at the time, girls and Spanish. And both worked out, got a degree in Spanish, got a degree in fashion design, and ended up running my first company for 7 years, a women's empowerment brand, which, I like working for myself, apparently. It's I'm able to tell myself what to do and what not to do and how to go. And some of these other images here in that meantime of me at Western, it was really a self-discovery of, okay, who am I now? Because right before I started Western was when I broke my neck in a diving accident and was told, you'll never have any feeling or movement ever again. And at the time, I was a big athlete, thought I would run track or play football at Michigan State like some of my friends did. And I was like, well, now what? Now what? I like Spanish and girls. What am I going to do with all this? But it turns out like the building blocks of all of us are your thoughts and your words about yourself. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't have my body. Nothing's working from the neck down, but I have my thoughts and words. What do I think about myself? And I started to tell myself a different story, and I realized that I was living a life based on other people's stories, not my own. So I had started to think about myself. You spend a lot of time on your own. I was in the hospital, Mary Free Bed for about 6 months. And in that time, I started to tell myself a new story, and guess what? My feeling came back head to toe. Doctors were baffled. I was like, well, there's something here. And that led to my first book there, Drops, Daily Real Optimistic Power Statements. The exact phrases and questions I asked myself to broaden my horizon, to open up my world, to start living for myself for once. And that started my Life at a Weird Angle podcast because I noticed being 6'4" and sitting down, everything's pretty off. Like I got a really long reach, but still how I can't reach anything. But I started to record that story, and I realized the more that I told that story, the more authenticity and the more I knew myself. More confidence grew in Western and everything, and led to me to my first company, which was DDH, which was all about female leadership and women's empowerment. And I used fashion because we all know different outfits make you feel different. And I led that for 7 years until I got to realize that what I'm really doing and going for is mindset stuff. That led me to the Day One Mindset, which is my new company. And it's a mental framework so that you can make your imagination your reality in 12 hours. Yes, that's 12 hours. And it took me from can't to can, and from impossible to I'm possible. Like, wait a second, I can do all types of stuff. And then as I did that, I developed this framework first and foremost because my life was full of problems. I had, recently broke my neck. I was depressed. I was living other people's stories. What now? And the framework started with self-talk because you're talking to yourself all day. You've already decided what you believe about everything, and that all starts in your head. And going from there to your imagination, actually what you're focused on rather than how you're going to get it, and giving yourself that clarity, realizing that you only have solutions. Easier said than done, obviously. But if you can identify problems, the law of opposites is always there. So you always have solutions as well if you look at them in the right space. And gratitude. Sealing it all with hey, being thankful for the stuff now, not just for the stuff that you want later on. And while that system sounds pretty simple, it is. However, understanding how it actually works can morph your identity to really change anything. I've seen people double their salaries in 30 days. I've seen people have children after years of being infertile. I've seen all sorts of amazing things. I even manifested my wife even without trying. And just said, I want these characteristics in this timeline. Okay, fine. Did a job teaching at Western Upward Bound on the fly. I wasn't even in the continent at the time when I got offered that position. I said, I'm in Dubai. When do you need me? She said, when do you land? I said, I land on Thursday. She said, great, I don't need you till Monday. I said, okay. And did that favor, taught Upward Bound at the end of the summer, met the woman I would marry. Boom. So easy peasy. So it's like, well, how's that going? Well, good question. Met the love of my life. Got on Apple TV recently. These are some of the pictures of some of the superheroes I've helped to create. Wrote a few books. Taught people that God's in the unlikely business and you should be too. Where do you come in? I'm trying to create 5 million superheroes. I can't do that all on my own. Yes, I can connect with people through coaching and investors, and collaborations is really where the growth happens. So thank you for presenting, and I know who to call and contact right after this. Because I have big goals, and like that's the whole point, right? To have big goals. If I can walk after 18 years, you can do whatever you want. God's in the unlikely business. And yes, that's me. There's a picture of me on that wall behind me because Western thinks I'm awesome too, and they put me in their alumni center. So I took a cool picture of that when it first happened. And the reminder that superhero season starts today. Like I call it day one mindset because today is the only day that you have. Like every day that you wake up, you don't say this is tomorrow, you say this is today. So it's like constantly living that first day attitude of everything. If this is the first day of your marriage, what are you going to do? Treat your spouse accordingly. First day of your job, guess what you're going to do? Show up on time. So using that same mindset along with the framework that I do to create the impossible until the impossible becomes inevitable.